Hello, my YouTube friends! I personally believe that every channel should have a live streaming strategy. There just isn't a better way to build a connection with your audience. And this connection translates into those folks watching more videos for longer, interacting with those videos with comments and thumbs up, and supporting the channel through memberships, affiliates, and merch purchases, and a lot more. Great pre-recorded content combined with a solid live streaming strategy is how you build a successful YouTube channel for the long term. So this video is to help content creators go live on YouTube quick and easy so you can build those audience connections. So you know what? Let's get to it! In addition to what you already use to create your video content, we're going to add one free tool. That tool is OBS, or Open Broadcast Software. It's a free open source live streaming software that you can do just about anything you can think of with. But it's also easy for everyone to set up and use. The best part is it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, so whatever system you're using, OBS is going to work. Let me show you how to download and install it. There is a link in the description down below so you can download it and follow along. That is the best way to learn. Alright, so here's the OBS download page, and you've got Windows, Mac, or Linux. Just select the one that you want and go ahead and click it. It will go up here and download it. And you've got some information here on how to get started, so if I miss something or whatever, you can go through this if you'd like. So next you're going to go to wherever your downloads are, and you can just double click on the installer. You're going to get an administrative prompt that you can't see, so just click yes. And then you're just going to click next through all of this and finish when you're done. It's really that simple. It's just like any other install. It's not very complicated. All right, now it's installed. Let me walk you through the basics of the user interface so it doesn't look so confusing. Now, when you first start out, you may have something like this come up when you first boot into OBS. And you could just click cancel, and this is what we have. Now the first thing that I want to do is go into our settings. I don't like the actual appearance view that we have here, so I'm just going to go ahead and change it to classic. This is what you're going to see in pretty much every OBS tutorial, so I just want to make sure that if you have to go to any other OBS tutorial, it's going to look the same for you. In the center, we have a preview window. This is where you're going to see all of the things that are getting broadcast out to your audience. Next, we have scenes. Now, scenes down here, you can move these boxes anywhere you want, but this is the layout that you're going to see when you first start up. You could create multiple scenes, which means you can have different layouts in your preview window for each scene. Next, we have sources. Sources are all the items that populate the scenes, like camera and audio and any other images or anything that you want as sources in your scene. The audio mixer is just what it sounds like. It is where your audio for anything that's in your scene is going to show up. Then we have scene transitions over here, and a transition is how you change from one scene to another. There might be some sort of animation, and there are some standard ones, the cut and fade. And they're exactly what you would think. And then over here we have our controls. So start streaming and settings are what you're really going to be worried about over here. You've got all your normal menu bars up here, some file, edit, view. You can change some of the view settings and that sort of stuff. Docs we're not really going to cover here, but it is a cool way to create new windows like these that can add other features to your OBS. Your profile is a storage of all the information that's in settings. Your scene collection is a storage file of all the information that's in all of your scenes with all of your sources and all of your audio and your scene transitions. So this will basically store all of that creation. You have tools, but this isn't anything you're going to need when you're first starting out. And then of course help gives you access to log files, the help portal. If you don't understand something in OBS, you can definitely find information about it there. Crash reports just in case OBS crashes and that sort of stuff. You're probably not going to be in there very much either. We're really going to just be concerned with what we see right here and maybe a couple of settings. So that is the basic UI. And just remember, if you see someone else doing a tutorial, Maybe they have scenes over here or something like that. All of these basic panels can be moved anywhere you want in order to configure this to make it easier for you to live stream. Just in case you end up going and checking out somebody's video on how to set this up, if you see something you don't understand, it's probably just they moved a panel around somewhere. Also, if you ever have panels somewhere and you can't figure something out or it just doesn't look right to you, you can go up into view and reset the UI. It will put everything back just like this so you don't have to worry about it. Now all we have to do is set up our stream and connect it to YouTube. Now I want to show some super simple common setup examples so that no matter what type of stream you want to put together, it's going to be easy for you to get started. So when we first start out, we're just going to have a blank collection here. And what we're going to do is start out with a scene. So we're going to right click on here and we're just going to rename this, and we'll call this one main. It's always good to get in the habit of naming these so you can figure out what they are. Maybe in our main scene, we want to add a camera, so we can just click the plus. And you can see all of the different types of things that we can add in any scene. So these top three up here are audio. We can add browser sources, which brings web pages and that sort of thing in here. A color source is just a big block or square that we can add color to, any color that we want. So when we do that, and there we go, now we have a color source, and we can shape it and move it any way we want, just like that. Now anytime that you're playing around with assets, whether it's a camera or a video or anything like that, you can grab these little corners and shape it up. We can also crop these by holding down our Alt key and bringing them in. You'll see a green dotted line. It means we've cropped off the right. We can crop off some of the left. We can do this on any asset, whether it's a video or a camera or anything like that. We can right click on the asset and go to transform, and we can reset that transform. We can also stretch any of these just by hitting shift and then holding down any of these, and it will stretch it as well. And that goes for cameras, video sources, images, anything you can think of, you can stretch as well. We're gonna right click, go to transform, and we'll reset that transform. So in the sources, you can see we have a little eyeball. We can turn things on and off. We can also lock their position so that we can't grab it and move it around in here. Next, we got a display capture, which will capture any displays that you have on your computer. So basically, if we drop this down, you can see I have 3 different displays. It will actually bring it in the same resolution. So you could see this one is kind of an off or goofy resolution, but we can bring it in here. We can stretch it out, fit it to the screen, whatever we want to do. We can also crop it just like before, where we hold down the Alt key and we can crop certain sections, and we can stretch it by holding the Shift key and stretching it out just like before. If we want to remove a display capture or any other source, all we have to do is select it down here, right click, go to remove. We're going to get prompted and we just click yes. We've got game capture, which operates exactly the same as display capture. The only difference is it's going to ask you which window you want to capture, or whether you just want to capture any full screen application. If we drop this down and we select specific window, then we can drop it down and select a specific window that we want to capture. Needless to say, that would probably be a game. So that's what game capture is. We're going to go ahead and right click and remove it. The next one we're going to be concerned about is images. You can add any image that you have on your computer. Just by clicking on there, we can name the image whatever we want. So we're going to call this one promo. And I'm just going to bring in a thumbnail promo that I had for my most recent live stream. We're going to go to downloads and we'll just click on that and click open. And there we go. So now we have that in here. We can move it around anywhere we want. Again, we can expand it if we hold the Shift key. We can stretch it. We can also crop it if we like. So any of these assets, we can do all of that stuff with. So that's how you can easily load an image in here. Go ahead and remove that. Media source is exactly what you would think. It's to load a video in here. All you have to do is go ahead and browse to the video that you want to load in. If you want that video to loop, in other words, play over and over and over again, you can click the loop. we can restart when the playback source becomes active. So in other words, we can turn the source on and off, and when we do we want it to restart at the beginning? If we don't, we can uncheck this. It will just start at where it left off. So hardware decoding is dependent upon your machine. Most of the time I never have this checked. Show nothing when the playback ends means we'll get exactly what we see here, a black screen as soon as the video is finished playing, and then close when inactive. So what that means is if we switch to another scene, do we want to close that file out? If it closes that file out, that means when we click on it again, it's going to restart the playback at the very beginning. So just keep all of that in mind. We can change the clip speed. We can change the color range. Most of these things we're never going to touch, speed, color range, or anything like that. So now we have our video in there. We just click OK, and you can see there it does show up. We have all the same options to resize this as we have with the other ones. We can place it anywhere we want on the screen. When we have it selected down here, you can see we get some stuff in here to pause it, play it, stop it. We can start it again at the very beginning or anything that we want. So there we go. So it makes it really easy. We can also adjust this slider to go anywhere we want in the video and then pause it and play it and all that sort of stuff. So there we go. Those are the media source assets. If you're going to have a bunch, I highly recommend when you load them in, you name them properly. Obviously, we can turn the little eye off and it will turn off and back on. You can see that it's restarting the playback at the very beginning when we do that. And that's all based on what we chose in properties right here. So let's go ahead and remove that. We have the ability to add a scene as a source in here. So if we have multiple scenes, we can set up scenes that have objects or something like that that might lay over top of the screen. We can set that up so we can just bring those all in as one. Text GDI allows us to add text to our live stream. We can type in whatever text we want right here. You can see it appear on the screen, and we can select different fonts, all that sort of stuff. We can go down here and select the color of our text to any color that we may want. This also gives us the ability to add a background to our text in whatever color we want. There we go. And we can change the opacity of the background so it's less see-through, more see-through, all that sort of stuff. If we want to have a background, we can line left, right. We can actually add an outline to our text, and we can choose the color of that outline right here. So we can outline it in white. We can change how big that outline is by adjusting the outline size. There are so many different things that you can do with text. It's really a pretty awesome tool. We can also have the text displayed vertically like that. You also have all the same features with the text tool. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can place it anywhere you want on the screen. We'll go ahead and remove our text. Next, we can click the plus and we have video capture device. This encapsulates all of your cameras. We can select it. We can name the camera if we have multiple different ones. Click OK. Now we can drop this down and select whatever camera we may have in there. Check it out and see which one we want in the scene. So we're going to go with this one right here, and there we go. We can change it from default device to add whatever resolution we may want. So if it does high res 4K, we can select that, 1920 by 1440. We can select that, 1920 by 1080, whatever the resolution is for the camera, we can set it up to get that. We can also go down here at the very bottom and select use custom audio device and select whatever audio device we want that camera to carry. So we can change it out and choose whatever audio device we want. Now in this case, some cameras don't like to use a custom audio device, which is perfectly fine. We can basically select the standard audio device, and then we can actually mute it if we wanted to add another one. And all you have to do to mute it is go right here and then click the plus, and we can go to an audio input capture, and we can just add the microphone that we want. And there we go. So now we have the microphone that we want. If you end up with audio sources in here that you don't want to see, like this one, because it's disabled, we can right click on it and we can hide that particular source. So now we don't have to see it. We can also right click on our audio and set it to a vertical layout so that we can have a bunch across here. It kind of makes it easier to play around with and notice. And I do believe that the last one here is going to be Windows Capture. And we can select that, and we can select any window that may be opened on our computer. So all we have to do is drop this down and select the window. So I can select the Discord or anything like that. And boom, you can see it shows up right in our live stream. So you can do this for capturing Chrome or anything like that that you want to display on your live stream. You can even capture OBS. Pretty cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and right click and remove our window capture. We'll leave our camera up here, and you can see that we can turn our camera off, on, all of the same elements that we had before. So if we wanted to crop it up, I can go ahead and select Alt and I can crop both sides. I can also hold down the Shift key and stretch it out or even reverse it. So there you go. We can right click on any of these, go to transform and reset it. It'll go right back to normal. So now we have a pretty good understanding of how the sources work within a scene. Let's add a separate scene and we'll call this one review. And this will be for anyone who may want to do any sort of a stream where they're going to talk about something else that is actually happening on a screen somewhere else or something like that. So maybe you want to do a tutorial, or maybe you want to make comments about a video. Let me show you how to set that up. First, we're going to go ahead and click the plus. We're going to go to video capture device. We already loaded a camera in our main scene, so we can just reuse that camera by adding existing, selecting video capture device, and there we go. But in this case, we want our camera to be nice and small because we're going to talk about a video that's up over here. So we're going to go ahead and click the plus. We're going to go to media source, and we're going to select a video that we want to take a look at here. And we'll just use the same one I always use. Click open. And we don't want to loop it. Everything else looks pretty good, so we're going to click OK. And so sources work just like your layers in Photoshop. If the media source is on top, anything underneath it you won't be able to see. But if we move media source down, you can see there's our camera. So now, as long as we have media source selected, we can pause it and we can talk about the video that's going on right here. We can do this with videos, and we can do it with images or anything else that we want to talk about. So maybe we're doing a review of a specific video on our live stream. We just thought we'd talk about it. This is pretty easy to set up this way. Now maybe we want to set it up a little different. What we can do is we can move this over like that. Maybe put a little bit of space around here. And we can go and reuse our color source that we already have by clicking on the add existing and select the color source. Bring that in, and we can move it all the way to the bottom. So now we have a color source and we have our video image. We could even load some text in here if we wanted to make it a little more explanatory. But this is a really super simple setup for you to do the review of a video or something like that on your live stream. It makes it really easy. So if you wanted this review of whatever this is up here to be a website or something like that, instead of choosing a media source, we'll go ahead and remove that. And what I normally would do is do a display capture and then just select which display I want it to capture. Click OK, move this to where I want it to be. And then on that specific display, what I would do is go ahead and just put the window up here that I want. And there we go. So now we can talk about everything that's on here. You could see it captures my mouse and everything. So we can do a demo of a website or even software or a product or anything we want. We can talk about it. And maybe we don't want our camera under that. So we're going to go ahead and move the display under the camera. And there we go. So now we have it all set up. Now you know how you could do a review of a video or go over software or even do a tutorial or anything like that. It's very, very easy to set this up and pretty much do anything that you would want on your live stream. You can review products on Amazon. You can do laugh tracks for videos, something you found on the internet that's silly, anything that you think is going to help you connect with your audience on your live stream, this makes it really easy to do. Now, I do recommend that you basically stay on topic. So if you do videos on your channel that are about video games, well, I kind of recommend you keep it on topic when you're doing your live stream. Talk about maybe new video game releases or something like that, something your audience is going to be into. Because if your audience is into cars and you come on and do a live stream talking about football, chances are they're not going to be that interested and you're not going to get that connection with your entire audience. It's best to stick to the subject matter that you actually do your videos on. So now that we have two scenes, we can switch back and forth between each scene, and you can see there's a little bit of a transition there. Right now we have it set to fade, and the fade duration is 300 milliseconds. If we increase this to 800 milliseconds, you'll see a lot more about how this fade actually works. You can see it fades from one scene to another just like that. And then we could drop this down and switch to cut. And then it just cuts back and forth from one to the other. So you could select your scene transition, make it look any way you want. There are actually lots of custom scene transitions that you can create by clicking the plus and going in here. And the Luma wipe is the easiest one to use. So we can go in here and we can select our Luma wipe transition. And there are so many different ones here. You can see that has a barn door and it's using this duration. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Let's change it to 300 milliseconds. And what we do is switch scenes, and you can see really simple Luma wipe that we just set up, took 20 seconds, and adds a little bit of flair in between switching scenes. So maybe you start out here, and then you move over here where you could talk about whatever you got in your other panel. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that to gather your audience and entertain and interact with them. The last piece of the puzzle is obviously setting us up to connect to YouTube to go live. And the easiest way to do that is just to create a new profile. So we're going to go up into profiles and we're going to click new. And now we could just name our profile, and let's just call this YouTube. And we want to have the show auto configuration wizard selected because that's just going to be the easiest way for you to get connected. There are other ways, but I just want to get you started. I want to get you streaming. So we're going to go ahead and click OK there. And we want to select optimize for streaming. Recording is secondary. And we're going to click next. And here we're going to set our base canvas resolution, which in my case is 1920 by 1080. And that's probably what you should stream at. It's the most common. It's easily the most accessible to your audience as well. We select our frames per second. If you're just doing talking head or you're talking about a video, there isn't any real reason to go beyond 30 frames per second. If you're doing something that's very action oriented, that's like fast moving games or something like that, then maybe you want to bump it up to 60 frames per second. But generally speaking, 30 frames per second is a good place to start. We're going to go ahead and click next. Here we're going to select our service. In this case, we want to connect to YouTube, and here is where we can connect our account. So you just click connect, and what it's going to do is bring up something like this in your background here where you're just going to sign into your account. So I'm just going to go over to that window and select that. Then we're just going to go ahead and select continue, and we have successfully authorized our YouTube account, and we're going to prefer hardware encoding. That means it's going to use our OBS to encode, and we're going to estimate the bit rate with the bandwidth test. So we wanted to go ahead and do that. So let's click next. And here we go. It's just going to kind of have this grass in the background here and test our server to make sure we're connecting properly with YouTube and make sure that all of our settings are optimized so that our stream's going to look great. And there we go. It selects the proper video bit rate, or at least what it thinks is the proper video bit rate. It's got your servers in there. It selects your encoder, the best one that you have on your system. It selects the quality that it assumes that your machine can use, and it sets your base canvases and all this stuff. And just looking at this cursory, this would be pretty much what I'd set if I was going to do it manually, so it should be good. We can just apply the settings, and we're all set. It brings up this chat box over here, which means when you actually connect to YouTube, you'll be able to see your chat. So you can just drag this over and place it anywhere in your UI, and now you'll be able to see your chat when you're actually live streaming on YouTube. And you can sign in over here, and that will allow you to actually set up a live stream so that you could put in your title and load a thumbnail and all that sort of stuff. You could theoretically do it right from here. But all you really have to do now that you're totally connected to YouTube is hit start streaming. You can also go into manage broadcast, and this will also allow you to set up a live stream. So you can create a new broadcast, put your title, your description, where you want it to go. So in other words, is it going to be public? Is it going to be unlisted or private? You can set that up as well. You can set the category for your live stream. So music or art or sports or gaming or whatever it is. You're going to go ahead and load your thumbnail in there. Check whether it's made for kids or not. And you can adjust your latency settings. So ultra low, low, or normal. You can enable DVR, which means it will be saved to YouTube when you're finished. And you can add 360 video if you use that, or you can schedule it for later, which is nice. So you could schedule your videos here. You just go down here and set it up so it's whatever time and date you're ready. You can enable auto start and stop if you'd like. And then we can go ahead and schedule our broadcast. We can also select existing broadcasts by going over here and selecting any one of these, and we can select the broadcast and start streaming, in which case it will automatically go live. Now, if we wanted to create a new broadcast, we can do that, schedule the broadcast, and then it will show up over here, so that all we have to do is select it and click select broadcast and start streaming. And then we'll automatically go live. We'll be ready. We'll be on. It's really that simple. So managing broadcasts will give you everything that you need to set your live stream up, and then you can just click it at the bottom and it can automatically take you live. It's really, really easy, and you guys are going to have so much fun on your first live stream actually connecting with your audience. And once you do it one time, you're going to see what I'm talking about, and you're going to wonder why you haven't been doing this for a long time. Hopefully, now you can set up your simple live stream and start building a stronger personal connection with your audience. The benefits are huge. Now, is there something that I didn't explain well enough here? Let me know about it down in the comments, and hopefully I can address it there. And if you want to learn about some free cool plugins for OBS that I use to enhance my streams, check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.